seconds.
Welcome back to Next Big Pod. It's just me and Ainsley at the minute because everyone else is fucked off. Obviously, we had a big fight on the weekend. Two great fights. One was a war. The other one was just more intriguing than anything else. We'll start with Golovkin anyway. I actually scored this to Jacobs. I thought he'd done just enough to nick it by a point. I've got no issue with anyone scoring it to Golovkin at all. You've seen like mental people on Twitter going like extremes either way. Like you've got one cheerleader in Steve Kim going wild, and the other one in Gabe Montoya going wild for Jacobs. Fights like this are polarizing. I was not impressed with Golovkin, and I was impressed with Jacobs, and I think that maybe swung it like perceptions and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was pretty boring. If it was a bit like Ward Kovalev. I found that boring as well, but
I don't know.
I was intrigued at the same time.
I didn't mind it. It wasn't.
Yeah, but they're like quite tactical fights, aren't they? But like you expect, because you've got like two perceived like big punches in there, Golovkin and Jacobs, you sort of waiting for something to happen, and it never really lit fire. But it was still really interesting. I still enjoyed it. It was well worth staying up for.
Yeah, it was. No, it was good. It was good, but like I was fucked when I was watching it. Like I was half asleep and all sorts of shit, so I didn't really take off it in properly the first time. But that first round, Jacobs has like one burst of punches, which everyone seems to give him the round for. But I don't think anything landed. But Triple G did land a few solid jabs. But I had it in the end. 113, well, 114, 113 to Jacobs. But I had rounds.
Same as me.
I had rounds, so I've just did it on my phone. I got 1, 9, 10, and 12 as swing rounds. But I ended up, not on purpose, just the way that I did it, I ended up giving him 2 each, so it sort of balanced out. I gave 1 to Triple G, 10 to Triple G, and then 9 and 12 to Jacobs. But I know
I've seen people give like Jacobs the first 3 or Golovkin the first 3. I just think you've got to, when you get rounds at that tight, I think you just give 1 to one and then 1 to the other. Or you're splitting hairs there, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think with the first one, like Jacobs didn't really do anything though. He had, like I said, it was like one burst what he threw after about 90 seconds, but it didn't seem to land. And the main thing that I noticed with this was, so like Triple G's footwork was still all there, if you know what I mean. So it weren't like he's not lost a step. The footwork.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
But when he was defensive, it didn't seem to be as fluent.
He's not good. He's not good off the back foot. He's only good when he's forcing. When he's made to. Cheers for that, Andy. When he's made to fight off the back foot, he's not the fighter he is offensively. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. There was just something not there. But he was, and as well, I can't remember who was seen doing this, but like he was getting himself into a position, and then he wasn't throwing punches, and then he was moving away again, which was very, very weird. Like some of the stuff seemed deliberate, and some of the stuff definitely wasn't deliberate. So I don't really know like what to make of it. Like,
do you buy into the like hardcore Golovkin fan standpoint, where he maybe went 12 just to lure Canelo in the ring?
No,
is that absolute horse shit? That?
Because no, and that was my other main point. And I don't know if you noticed this; it might just be me. But you know when Jacobs got knocked down in the fourth, the punch, it wasn't the end of the punch, so it was like mid trajectory. And I think if it would have been at the end of the punch, I think it'd have been finished.
Well, Barry Jones called this well as well. He had like nowhere to go. He was against the ropes and he got hit the once, stumbled, then hit again, and he just had nowhere to go. So his only option was to go on the floor.
But the one that sent him down, like I said, it was like mid swing. It went for one, and I thought he was hurt a lot worse in the 5th round than he was in the 4th.
I can't remember what round it was when Golovkin caught him with 2 uppercuts, like one, then maybe 10 seconds, then another one, because he was hurt in that round as well.
I think that might have been round 9.
But there is one thing you can't deny, that Golovkin has got one heck of a beard on him.
Oh yeah, but
he smashed him with one perfect shot, and it just like bounced off his head.
Yeah, was it the 11th when Jacobs had his arms in the end? He was having a bit of aggro at the end. because he got a fucking
Oh,
left.
there was a few rounds like that when it was like very close to fighting after the bell.
It was either, I'm sure it was. I can't remember now, but it was the end of it, and he caught him with a left hand, like a very short left hand, and he definitely got hurt. I think, but
You there?
it's not Pops.
Who was it then?
It's the doctor.
What was you going to say then, Ainsley, before?
I can't remember.
Oh, he's gone.
Fuck, Press Pass was in the comments. Get on the pod, Press Pass, you little maggot. Or anyone else. I've tweeted the link out. Just jump on. We aren't asked.
Yeah, it's a free for all. Anyone can come on if you want.
Yeah. It's when no one rings in now, we're going to look like icons, but whatever.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah.
Someone give it to Spencer.
Fuck, he was chatting shit earlier. Let's move on from that. Can't be asked to moan just yet. Well, I don't really want to moan, but yeah, I don't know. Like Jacobs is. Look at Jacobs against Pirog and look at him now. It's not the same person.
Yeah, but there's circumstance behind the Pirog fight, isn't there? Like his nan just died, and
yeah. No, but I mean, if you look at the person, it isn't the same person.
Oh, well, you mean physically?
Yeah. Like.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're all out, isn't they? So.
But
he did VADA. I don't know how long they did it for, but
I don't know. It was decent, Jacobs. Yeah. Like, I think he could have done more. That's the thing. Like, he was doing all right, but this is the problem with both of them. They both could have done more. So, like, whoever lost that at the end of it was always going to have that fucking bit of regret. Like Jacobs in them first 3 rounds could have really made them a lot more clear. So it would have only made 1 round difference on my card, but I don't know. You can't give the first 3 to Triple G regardless. I don't think the first round with Jacobs at all, but I think the other 2 probably were.
I thought the corner work from Jacob's team was really good.
Yeah,
just take it 1 round at a time. We didn't. I don't think Box Nation showed anything of Sanchez's corner work.
No,
but from what the Yankees were saying, it wasn't very good.
They did bits, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't like there was no urgent. It wasn't. There was no real instruction. It was just like, yeah, you're doing all right, you're doing well. Like, but
do you reckon they both sort of fell in love with their own hype?
Possibly. I don't know. You're allowed 1 bad one because Kovalev weren't exactly great against
Chilemba,
and then he went, and he was a lot better against Ward. Although
Ward,
again, he wasn't. Yeah. Yeah, it weren't a robbery. It was a close fight. Like neither guy could have whinged if they won or lost. Jacobs took it well. Yeah.
We said this after Kovalev Ward. This is what happens when you get fights at top level. They are close. It's because we're not used to seeing them anymore. That people scream robbery or there's agendas. Black fighters don't get decisions, even though they got one against Kovalev. It's all bullshit, really. All the race that gets brought into it.
Yeah, like I've seen loads of them just whinging that it's always against the black fighters, which is nonsense.
Oh yeah, that PBC mob they're just all of them. They're all dickheads, every single one of them. Like I've seen people tweeting that Shakur Stevenson saying you're gonna have to knock people out or dominate because you're never gonna get a decision. What the fuck are you talking about? Like Floyd got the decision against Castillo.
Yeah, I mean it averages out. He's not one of them. It's not. It was a close fight. It wasn't a robbery. He can't. It wasn't.
Yeah, and if he has a close, I don't personally think it's going to be a close fight with Canelo because it's an entirely different fight. But say for saying so it is, and Canelo gets a nod in a close fight, then it has evened itself out, and it is.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's a question. There's something that needs to be answered about that fight from Triple G's perspective, but I don't really know what it was. I don't know. Something just. I'm not making excuses for him, but there was just something weren't right. Fuck no. Like early on, he just needed to throw punches, and he wasn't. So. And I think.
I'll tell you one thing. Go on. One thing that really did impress me with Jacobs was his upper body movement fighting off the ropes.
Yeah. It was,
He was slipping shots like really, really well.
but some of that was Triple G was doing the same thing every time. So after a couple of rounds, I think he'd seen what he was trying to do. Because he was just trying to jab and then put that right hand over. So all he was doing is fucking waiting for the jab and then he was just turning his left shoulder.
Yeah, I suppose.
It nullifies a lot of that. But it was good, but I'm just saying I thought a lot of it was a bit... A lot of it was very basic. Like, I don't know. But it's like...
If they was to fight again, would you still favour Golovkin?
Oh, yeah, I think you have to think he'd go for it next time.
I don't think Golovkin can be any worse, and I don't think Jacobs can be much better.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just one of them nights where everything just clicks for Jacobs and that's like his perfect night. Like, which does happen sometimes, and he's just fought way above himself. But I don't know. He's not being too whingy about it afterwards, Jacobs. So it's like, I don't mind Jacobs.
In his head, going into that, he must have known that if it's a close fight, he's not going to get it. Not with all the money on the table for the Golovkin Canelo fight. He's not going to get the nod, really. It's just the way the game is, isn't it?
He could have made that a lot more clear if they'd just done that bit extra in a few rounds. Literally, it wouldn't take much. And I'm not going to slag him because he was against and everything, and he's wrote off. But I'm just saying, sometimes in fights like that, they have to think in the moment. It could get away from me in the moment, and then they sit back and watch it, and it's just like, if I'd just done that extra little bit here, there, and everywhere. But no, I think he'd done well for himself. But it's like I said, he had that fight against Quillin, wrecked him, and then he got put on the shelf for ages. He needs to get out, get him fighting, get him in against Charlo or something. Or
I wouldn't mind seeing him in Lemieux.
Yeah, someone tweeted earlier saying they think Lemieux would chin him, but I don't know. You know, I think Lemieux's too up and down. Isn't he? He's not.
Lemieux's basic, but
it does hit very.
He's got the equaliser.
But yeah, but Jacobs, it's hard, man.
Yeah,
this always gets overlooked. But before Quillin, I can't remember who it was who said it. Might have been Caleb Truax, I think, who just got ice off him. And he basically says, what you need to remember is Jacobs can hit hard as fuck, and everyone's counted that out. And then, yeah,
well, you smashed Quillin the bits.
Yeah, but let's be right before Saturday, Jacobs had the better win.
Yeah.
So obviously not anymore, but yeah. What else was on the card Saturday? I forgot.
Wangbangwacky is what we've called him.
Oh yeah,
the Thai fella. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name, but we asked Terry or Rocco, if you know him from Twitter, he's got a habit of renaming Thai Japanese fighters to something more British that's easy pronounceable. So he's been called Wangbangwacky, so that's what we're going to refer to him.
Yeah,
have you seen this fight? Because I thought it was brilliant. Usually, I know it's a bit casual in that, but I can't get down with these midgets. Yeah, but that was one of the best fights I've seen in a long time.
Was it round 3 when they just fucking went ballistic?
There was plenty of rounds like it. There was only a few rounds towards the end where Gonzalez completely took over when Wangbangwacky was spent.
I'm sure it was round 3, man, and it was literally just fucking. Let me have a look. I'm just going to get round 3 up here. But like, what did you think? Did you think the scores were fair?
I scored it to the Thai fella. I scored it to Siskru. I can't even say his name. But I did score it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I scored it to him myself, but I can again. You got no complaints from me if you scored it to Gonzalez. No complaints at all.
No.
What I did notice about it on Twitter, especially, was all the people in the crowd had it really wide to Gonzalez, but everyone watching at home had it a lot closer or to the Thai fella. But that's the thing when you see fights live, you don't. I don't think you get. You don't think you get as. Yeah, you don't get as good of aspect of what's going on as you do sat at home watching on TV.
But he's
not saying that. I'd rather watch a fight live every day of the week.
Oh yeah, he's not big enough for the weight though, is he? And this is the mad thing. Everyone thinks because it's small jumps, anyone can go and do it. But
£3 in when you're that £3 like a massive percentage of your body weight when you're that small. So
Yeah, but
it's probably it's the equivalent of going up like welterweight to light welter to welter, isn't it?
Well, I don't think so. No, it ain't, because look, I can't remember. I think this is an argument we had with Shep in the WhatsApp once, and he was trying to say it's the same, but it ain't. If you're 140 pounds and go up 7, it's not the same as if you're 112 and go up 3. You're not fucking half the size.
But it's percentages, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not. It's still not a percentage, because that'd be double. So for you to if you go up £7 at 140, that's 5% of your weight. If you're 112,
someone with good math skills in a chat, work out what a percentage is, please.
Well,
if you can be bothered.
£7 is 5% of the fighting weight at 140. £3 is about 3%.
Oh, so it's not a million miles off then.
No,
you know what I'm saying? So if we go like, I don't know, then let's go lightweight to lightweight, 135 to 140 to make it a bit more even.
Yeah, but it's about what? What's
but
that?
You can be a big lightweight and a small light welterweight though, can't you? So
yeah, but I just I don't know. I always felt like Gonzalez was going to lose at some point soon. Anyway, I think he didn't get away with one with Quadras, but he wasn't great then.
He got banged up.
Yeah,
but he put more of a beating on this Thai fella than he did Quadras. But this Thai
it took
fella
more of a beating. He was a big guy, like he looked big in comparison, but then again, I've just mentioned the size, so
another heck of a beard on him. Like Gonzalez's shots were just bouncing off his head. You said I know we don't like talking about punch stats because that's a Shep thing to do, but Gonzalez landed the most power shots in Superfly history.
All right, Dave.
Which is some good going.
Right. Go to Dave then.
You there, Dave? Joey, you're muted. There you go.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to talk about Golovkin, mate?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I know I really annoy Brian when I was going on about it, but I am a fan of Golovkin, but the hype, it did get a bit uncontrollable, didn't it? Like to the point where Jim Lampley was saying that Golovkin would quite literally only get hit when he chose to, which was baffling. And going into this fight, everyone expected, even the people who could see through the hype, everyone still expected Golovkin to win by stoppage. And realistically, I thought Jacobs' best chance was, maybe he'd have to stick and move, but I thought his best chance would be to hold his feet, in patches and try to, give Golovkin something to think about, just to try and slow the approach. But Jacobs fought a completely different game plan from, what most people expected him to. And, there was a reason nobody expected him to fight like that. It's because he's never done it. He's never moved around the ring as much as he could. And, in parts, you remember the first fight against Sergio Mora, his footwork looked quite clumsy and he looked, he looked quite square too often. But, not only did he move around the ring quite neatly at times, and, he got off the ropes quite neatly too. He switched to southpaw as well, which is something we've never really seen him do for, massively long periods. I was, because of all those reasons, I was a bit amazed by what we were watching. I couldn't believe, the way he was playing out. I think I give the first 3 rounds to Jacobs. Granted, not loads happened in it, and he got dropped in the 4th. That was a good shot, but it wasn't a sleeper, like we've seen or a sickening shot like we've seen Golovkin throw before. And, in reality, Golovkin was never given many opportunities to throw these sickening shots. When he did want to set his feet, Jacobs was rarely there. I think the reason why I had Jacobs winning 115, 112, and when, I sat back and added it up, I never would have expected to score it that way. But the reason why Golovkin got the nod is just because he did that extra bit of work in between. When he jabbed a hell of a lot more than Jacobs, and we see in fights, like, obviously a completely different level. But like Dillian White against Chisora, White just constantly poked out that jab, and even when it doesn't land, it just makes him look busier. And I think of like the first 6 rounds of Frampton and Quigg. The difference was that Frampton was looking the more proactive, which I think that's kind of what went against Jacobs in the end. But it's interesting, isn't it? We call for these top fights, to see the top 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 guys face each other. And when they do, and the number 1 guy doesn't look as great as he does against B-level opposition, everyone says he's exposed or he's shot or whatever. I don't think Golovkin has been exposed. I think in extremely brief patches, we've seen his limitations once or twice before. And what we have to remember is that the Golovkin we're seeing now is like 30. What's he? 35 years old.
36 and a week and a half or something.
April
Exactly.
8th.
So this might not be a prime Golovkin that we're seeing. And it's the same with Gonzalez. When you get these fighters from different parts of the world, that it takes them longer to break through and it takes them longer to get mainstream recognition, in America. The chances are that they've probably got a lot of miles on the clock. They've probably had a lot of fights. They've had a lot of training camps, and there's an argument that they might be past. They might be past their peak. Obviously, Golovkin and Gonzalez's peak is very high. So even a slightly past it Golovkin or Gonzalez is still an extraordinary great fighter, or good fighter, I should say. So they can get away with it, but we can't be too harsh on Golovkin, can we? He fought an inspired Danny Jacobs, who fought the fight of his life, and he was in his hometown as well. So I'd rather see Golovkin win close fights like that than go out and fight Willie Monroe Jr. and do what he wants.
Yeah, I'd like to see the rematch.
I would as well, because like the way Jacobs moved, sure, after seeing how well it worked, there wasn't a lot that you saw from Jacobs that you could think, oh, he should be doing this, he should be doing that. So he's likely to fight a very similar game plan next time. Yeah. So we'll see how Golovkin adapts, won't we? And I know.
Do we?
Go on.
There was a few patches during the fight. I can't remember what round it was, but when Jacobs just stood in front of him, was jabbing with him, and it really confused Golovkin. I thought he didn't really know what to do.
Yeah, well, we all know Golovkin doesn't move his head as much as a lot of top fighters do. A lot of the times, he's happy to take the shots on the gloves, and because he knows, like you think of like Golovkin against Daniel Gill, you know that whoever if they both land, who's going to come off better in those situations. But I think Golovkin just took that for granted a bit, and really when he really wanted to let his shots go, Jacobs wasn't there. But there's a lot in there that we saw a lot of different sides to Golovkin that we hadn't seen before, and it's like I've never given Floyd Mayweather any chance, whatsoever of beating Golovkin just because the sheer physical task that it would be. But and don't get me wrong, Floyd would be a lot smaller. He'd probably be 30 pounds smaller than Jacobs was on the weekend. But you can see how movers, can maybe give Golovkin problems. And Jacobs was moving, but it was voluntary movement. It was what he wanted to do. He wasn't being chased around the ring. Like when you saw Martin Murray or Monroe try to move around the ring, they were in retreat. They had no option. They had to get on their bike. Where, this was the first mover we've really seen Golovkin fight, where they were doing a lot of what they were doing was on their own terms.
But he was cutting the ring off though, and he was getting in positions to throw shots and then not throwing them. Which I was saying to Carp earlier, I didn't understand that. So he was sort of doing the hard work and then just not doing anything. It was, I don't know, it was a bit weird. But the other thing I also said to Carp was that was a fight, and I felt whoever lost it, when they watched it back, was probably going to be a bit annoyed and felt that they could have done a bit more to make sure they got the win, really. But because
whoever won it though, on the flip side, whoever won it could probably think, I could have done this, a bit more. I don't think Jacobs could have done what he did better, but I think he could have done a little bit more of it just to overemphasize. But I've got to be honest, I scored a 1-1-5, 1-1-2 to Jacobs. I think I gave Golovkin, one sec, I'll get my scorecard up now. I definitely gave him the 4th and the 5th. I can't think of the other. I gave him the 12th as well, but there was another round. It might have been the 8th.
I didn't give him the 12th. I give Golovkin 1, 4, 5, 8, and 10.
I've got my scorecard here. I gave him 4, 5, 8, and 12. But I've also got to stress that like I'm sick and fucking tired of when we have close fights and people scream robbery. It was not a robbery. This is the same for like
It's always the same. It's always the same crowd doing it though, Dave. So you're
yeah,
easy to
but
pick out. You just
it's
block them or
tiring.
ignore them.
It's tiring, mate. Like when we had Badu Jack against James DeGale. Just as close a fight. I thought they were. I think I had Jack up by 2 or 3 points at the end, but still a very close fight. And then people screaming robbery, and it's like this was. Sometimes you might get a close fight that like say a 7-5, but it's a clear 7-5. You can see these are the rounds fighter A won, and these are the rounds of fighter B
Well,
won.
to use Brian's example of that, he always goes to my Dana Floyd 1. That is a clear 7-5, but it's always a 7-5.
Exactly. But like this, Golovkin against Jacobs was not a clear 7-5. It was, it was a close fight. Every round was close. And this is why people, taking the 4th round out, this is why people will score different rounds to each of the boxers. You might come up with the same score, but you won't necessarily have the same scorecard.
Yeah, boxing at its best when you've got the highest level competing. You do get these close fights, and people just need to accept that there is such a thing as a close fight, and not everything is cut and dry.
Yeah.
But certain people, and they'll remain nameless, but there's only 2 I can think of, are also just going full retard and basically saying it was wide one way or the other.
Oh yeah, well,
and she's just nonsense. There's fucking no way that's like a wide. Like I think at a push you could give one guy 8 rounds at a fucking push, right? And that's just because he's like I said, I called it. I thought it was 4 swing rounds. But you can't be giving either guy 9 rounds, like. But whatever. People are just trying to shit on Jacobs for the sake of it. But yeah,
I think are agendaed as well.
Like I know it gets talked about far too much, but like the hardcore and casual thing. I think hardcore boxing fans are a bit protective of Golovkin because he's been snubbed by so many world-class fighters, going back to like Felix Sturm, Martinez, Cotto, Canelo, and there'll be a few others in there as well. I think we feel protective of Golovkin, and like I said, when you get these fighters they've had to be extra special to get mainstream attention, you almost feel like they deserve to have the benefit of the doubt. But there's 2 guys in a ring, and whoever wins the rounds deserves the nod. So with Golovkin, we just need to keep it in perspective that while we are protective of him, he is just another boxer. And I'm really interested to see how the HBO narrative go here, because I thought it was a strange one when it was I saw like the 24/7 and one of the countdown shows that HBO produced, and usually they like to blow the trumpets of both boxers. Where I thought they were not being massively down on Jacobs, but poo-pooing him a tiny bit, and it doesn't really make sense, because if you're saying that he's going to get knocked out, this was pay-per-view, wasn't it? Why would you put that fight on pay-per-view? And while we all thought that Jacobs would probably end up getting knocked out, you've got to, as a broadcaster, why would you bother putting a fight together that's not competitive? So yeah, it's interesting where the HBO narrative goes with Golovkin, because like they've gone on about this 24 knockout or whatever it was streak that he was on, and now he hasn't knocked out someone who they all said he would, and they said he would do it easily as well.
The thing is, though, as well, and I don't care how hard you hit, you can't knock everybody out anyway. Shit. So like, there's always going to be someone that poses like. And I mean, when did he get knocked out of Pirog? I know it's ages ago, and I was probably a bit guilty.
Literally about 2011. Sure, I think it was about 2011.
Wait, I've got his
box. Yeah, it's ages ago.
Like 6 years ago.
2010, July. But I mean,
7 years ago.
I know, but like, I think it was just he was writ off, and obviously we were guilty of it as well. But I don't see the point in moaning about any part of it. The scorecards were about fair. The fight was decent. Jacobs didn't act like a little fucking bitch and start moaning, saying that he's being robbed, this, that, and the other. So, like, The undercard
You
was
think so,
semi-decent. Like,
Jacobs would have gained a lot of fans in that, and I hope when he calls it a day and we look back on his career, it's not wasted and we don't go his best win was a loss to Golovkin. I hope he builds on this now.
Yeah, but you know what, Jacobs
Goes back to the PBC, gets some good fights, comes again, even moves up to 168, just does something with his career to build on this.
Jacobs, we all know his story, coming back from cancer and coming back from a knockout loss to, get some good wins on his record. You'd think, and I understand he's from a rival, with the PBC, but you'd think HBO would have championed his cause a bit more as well.
Yeah. I don't know, but I always think with Triple G, they just get so wrapped up in Triple G. It's just like nothing else matters in the universe.
Yeah.
It is just literally...
HBO are weird, though, aren't they? They've got the guys that they love, and then everything else is secondary to them. Like, they got Loma, they got Golovkin, and they've got Kovalev, haven't they?
But I've got a feeling that Canelo's going to look bad against Chavez. Like, really bad.
I don't think so.
And I think that this might be quickly forgotten with that. I'm told that the weight advantage that he's had forever being completely taken away is going to factor in pretty heavily when they fight, but that's a story for a different day.
You're not very high on Canelo, I know, but
no, but
the more I see him, like I've watched some of the old fights back, he's growing on me quite a bit. I don't know. I didn't notice this myself, but I listened to a few other podcasts today, and I heard them say that they thought Golovkin might have been hurt to the body. Do any of you agree with that?
He was.
A couple of people have said this, don't they? Like
Canelo, right? In my opinion, Canelo's the best body puncher in the game, and I said this after the Liam Smith fight that the only chance I give Canelo in that fight is if he can dig him to the body. And if he got hurt to the body, then you never know. But it's obviously a big fucking if. But
right, yeah, but he doesn't. Like Jacobs was able to get to the body because of the way he was fighting. He was getting at range, and he wasn't using his jab that often. But when he was like giving himself openings to the body. If you know what I mean, he was creating openings. How's Canelo doesn't fucking do that, does he?
No, like I said earlier on, I still favour Golovkin massively in that fight, but I'm a lot more excited about it now than I was pre the Jacobs fight.
But yeah. And his feet are in concrete anyway.
Yeah, 3 years ago, I thought Golovkin was unbeatable. I really did. I thought there's no one around who can beat him now. But after the Brook fight, I mean, take that with a pinch of salt. He didn't respect him, blah, 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 blah. But the Jacobs fight especially, there's definitely ways to beat him now, whereas before I just didn't think it was possible by anyone around.
I was surprised how passive he was, boys. Like, you'd think there would be a bit more urgency from him.
That's what I was getting at. Like, he was getting it. What he was getting those first 3 rounds, he did it loads. Moved his feet well and got into the position where he'd be able to land a fucking shot or whatever. And then he just did fuck all. Like, he was literally, it was like moving to get in front of him and then just moving away. It's like, what are you doing?
When you listen to this, people, I don't want anyone getting mistaken that we're not Golovkin fans or we're just hipsters shitting on him, because that's not the case at all. We all do really like Golovkin, but he can be criticised and he can be critiqued, so none of you start crying like you do when the Asylum have a pop at him. But they go a bit retard on it. So
did any of you two see Andy Lee?
No, I didn't.
Fucking hell.
Right, Dave, before you jumped on, we was talking about Wangbangwacky, as we're calling him.
Yeah.
What did you think of this fight? Because I thought it was the best fight I've seen in a long time.
This is the Gonzalez fight, yeah?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it all the way through. I was skipping through it in parts because I watched it the day after. So I was skipping through it in parts on the Box Nation app to get to the Golovkin fight. But I've got to say, do you know, like, can you remember how, like, Chavez and Martinez were kept apart? And it actually worked quite well. By the time they then got round to fighting each other, it was a really interesting fight, and far more interesting than when it was first talked about. I see Golovkin against Canelo in the same light, in terms of, like, if this was to happen 2 years ago, I would have really fancied Golovkin to win quite handily. Where now I still think he wins, but I think it might be a bit trickier than I first thought. Well, on the flip side, Inu against Gonzalez is such a super fight that, has got away from us.
Yeah.
Superfly is obviously a bit much for Gonzalez, but there was all that talk not so long ago. I think it was before the Brian Valoria fight, where they said that he was seen at the weigh-in like spitting in a bucket for ages because he was that tight at the weight. So, he's really in a tough spot, isn't he? He clearly isn't as effective at Superfly as he was at flyweight, which is amazing when you think it's only like 3 pounds, I think, the difference. But, he's had 46 fights. You're not going to be the same fighter as, at whatever level you compete at. That's a lot of miles on the clock.
It's not like he was... All of his fights weren't straightforward, though. He had, like, some tough ones over the way, so... Yeah, I don't know that it happens, though. If you're fighting at that level all the time, you're going to get beat unless you're fucking really, really, really good.
I've got to say, and I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world to say it because I know Bunsey pointed it out, but Max Kellerman's comment to the tie was, honestly, he's lucky that bloke didn't speak English because a lot of boxers would have given him a slap for the way he spoke to him.
Well, one of them murdered his brother. Right, I'm moving on.
Yeah,
that's a bit harsh, but he's a prick, man. He's getting worse and worse.
But you know what it is with me?
He's a fucking boxing snob. Thinks he knows more than any other cunt. He's the same as Spencer Fearon. They think they know more. They think they're better than you. Their opinion counts for more because they can, recount an historical fight from the 20s and no other fuckers heard about in their lives.
Well, they didn't. I'm sure they didn't speak to Tim Bradley like that. They might have said, Tim, we think you lost the fight, but they didn't have such an outright dig at him. As if it was his fault.
But
Larry Merchant could be a cunt, but at least he did it with some class.
Yeah.
Max is just.
He's odd. I think this is. I mentioned it with Charles once on Twitter about it, and what was it? What did I say now? And I mentioned this, and I always bring this up, and I think I mentioned it to Shep on Sunday, and I don't know why. It's just one thing that's always stuck in my mind. And he was saying, so before Rigondo Donaire, like the night of it, so when the fucking broadcast started, like they were doing a little fucking preview thing, and he's basically like, Donaire is the best fighter I have ever seen below 140 pounds. Like, there's no one ever been that good. And it's like, what are you on about? Like, stop bloody fucking animal. But like Charles was saying that he gets the impression with fucking Kellerman that he always just wants to live in an era where he says, "Oh, everyone's the best. Look at me." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, he's just really, what he did was so dishonest. Like there's a select few of boxers that I really don't like. They're really not my cup of tea as people. But as a fighter, that guy had just, like, for example, Tony Bellew. If Tony Bellew had been through a fight like that, I might severely dislike him, but I would never dream of speaking to someone like that after they've just gone to the well and back about 5 times in 12 rounds.
Yeah.
There's such a lack of respect for the sport. I think, and don't get me wrong, we all might poke fun at someone for being a donut and saying something dopey, but there's a time and a place, and it's not after they've just been through a bloodbath, to get a career high achievement.
But that's all because he got the knock on, because obviously they'd been building him up for ages. And
yeah.
But
it's up to if HBO want to put it right, it's up to them to stick their hand in the pocket and give the Thai fighter, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, and give him the pay packet that they give Gonzalez.
Yeah, exactly. But that remains to be seen whether they will after seeing.
No, of course they won't, because there's super flies.
But yeah, but look,
Gonzalez isn't known for living the life in between fights, is he? He goes back to Nicaragua and gets quite fat by all accounts. Do you reckon that's one of the reasons why he's struggling?
Well, it does catch up with you in the end. It did with Atom, didn't it?
Yeah. And he's 30 as well. That's ancient down there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
What do you want to see him do? What do you want to see him do now? Do you want to see him retire and go live quite happy and get fat, or do you want to see him come back and have one more crack at it?
I'd like to see him.
Breaking up a bit there, Dave. Go again, mate.
I'd like to see him not suffer another loss.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you can win, but I think it's something that deserves to go out on a high. And if you could have one more fight, maybe win a title back, whether it be a rematch or another champion, I wouldn't begrudge him leaving it there after that.
But it's hard to find a route for him. Maybe they'll fucking just pick Yafai up.
Inu? Is that actually going to happen now?
No,
I think so. And you said that. That's it. I knew he said the only reason he was hanging around there was for that fight, and now that's gone. He's fucking off. He's going up.
Fair enough.
But I mean, like, yeah, I know it. I don't know. It's hard to fucking find a path for things down there, but I don't know. He's had a decent career.
I wouldn't mind seeing the rematch. In fact,
Yeah, it'd be good.
give him a break because he was cut up bad. Just chuck that on the Golovkin Canelo undercard if that happens, and
The thing is,
that'll make me happy, boy. That
K2 promote him now, so they can fucking they could reward him themselves. They could just say, "Fuck it, we'll pay for this." But
yeah, they co-promote him with that Tekken fella, innit?
I think he's like more.
However you say his name.
Yeah, Tyken. I think he more manages people than promotes them.
Anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to mention Conlan from Friday? Because I haven't seen that at all.
Did any of you see Andy Lee on Saturday?
No.
Don't watch it.
I didn't intend to anyway.
He's not done, but I mean, you know what I keep saying on here, how he's never looked good under fucking Boo and all that. I mean,
you've been banging that drum for ages. You've been mentioning that for as long as we've had even a Twitter chat. So that's like 2 years, isn't it?
It keeps coming home to roost, man. I've said quite a few things on here. A lot of them wrong, some of them right. But I mean,
you've actually made quite a few like predictions in the last few years that are coming true now. So
like, I'm not just an idiot. I do get the odd thing right, despite what some people will have you believe. But it's like, I don't know, man. Like, for some supposed fucking destroyer of worlds, as he likes to think he is, like, very fucking tentative fucking start and crowd were booing and shit at points, but it just...
Hey, I mean, what I will say, Andy Lee is no stranger to having a bit of a stinker and fighting nowhere near his potential. You remember the Anthony Fitzgerald fight where he struggled a bit with that? The Horta fight where he beat a light middleweight by a point. I think it was a majority decision. And 8 rounds. But even going back to like when he fought Craig McEwen, he was 2 or 3 rounds down in that fight and needed a last round knockout to turn it around. So he's sometimes you can watch a 10-round fight with Andy Lee and he'll only box well for 1 or 2 of the rounds.
I know he was shy in the Korobov fight, but do you think that was his Everest moment?
Yeah, that's...
He should have cashed in then.
But like, so let's go. So his first fight was Fitzgerald, yeah, and he was
with
Booth, yeah. He was awful then. Then he fought some guy called Darryl Cunningham. Didn't see it, so I'm not gonna say much. Then he fought that guy in Manchester, that Hafner, who was a bum. He ended up knocking him out, but he wasn't fucking good in that.
If you remember, the first, one of the first punches of that fight, he almost got, clocked.
Yeah, and like John Jackson, he was fucking miles behind. Korobov, again, he lost every round. Quillin, I don't know what Quillin were doing that night, but he was pissing about. Saunders nearly sent him to hell. And then this guy fought the other day. Like, I don't know. Some of it is obviously just Lee not being that good, but some of it is also Boo's not that good. Because it's a common trait some of Boo's fighters of late. But I'm not going to just sit here and rant on about Boo. I'm just making the point. I don't think that Boo's all he's made out to be. And I think Lee is definitely on the last legs. Like, if he fought Triple G now, that it'd be done in about 90 seconds.
I wouldn't like to see that. But I wouldn't put it past him.
Oh, no. But, no. But, I don't know what Andy Lee's going to do at 160, but he needs to be very, very careful. Like,
he could fight Jacobs, I suppose, because he's got that deal with. I don't know if it still exists actually.
Yeah,
but he's got a Sabella thing, hasn't he?
That's another fight where I could see him getting badly hurt, though.
Yeah, same. But like, what else?
I don't think he'd go long enough to get badly hurt.
Yeah, but you don't need to. Like, Jacobs, it's fucking hard, man.
Yeah, I know, but personally, I'd rather get knocked out quickly than take a sustained beat.
But still, yeah. But either way, he needs. I don't know.
Anyway, move on from Andy Lee. We don't want to spend much time discussing him. There's not a lot to discuss.
No.
Did any of you see Conlan on the Friday night?
Yeah,
I've seen a little clip on Facebook or YouTube. I can't remember whatever it was, but I didn't see the card.
It's only 7 minutes long. I only watched that one fight.
No, I seen the stoppage, and because someone put a gif of it, and how shit it was or something. But
It
again,
was
I
a
didn't
bit
see enough
soft,
of
but
it
the bloke was, Conlan could have stopped him in the first round if he wanted to, and he was
Yeah.
just, fight. I wouldn't even say finding his range because he could have found it whenever he wanted. He was just poking and prodding his way through. And by the third round, the guy just looked a bit knackered, and he was beat. It wasn't so much that he was getting hurt, but he was just covering up and offering next to nothing back in return.
Right, I'm not gonna give an opinion. I'm just gonna ask a couple of questions. So, one, should someone who's being touted as highly as he is and making the comments that he is about how good he is, should he be fighting someone like that on his debut? And question two, should he be fucking making all these And I understand you got to be confident and whatever, but is he in any position to be started making these comments about how he's going to be the best fighter Ireland's ever seen, even though the bar is quite low?
Right, let me answer
Bearing in
the
mind what
first
he's
one.
just done.
I've said before in here that I think everyone's entitled to like a showcase on your debut. I think everyone's entitled to like a knockover job. Just get one out of the way.
Okay.
The second one, I think.
Sorry, Carl.
Oh, go on, Dave. No, crack on.
While I do agree that you're entitled to a showcase, especially if you're headlining Madison Square Garden and it quite literally just is all for you, he still could have fought someone a lot better than what he did and still looked, just as good, if not better, because they've actually would have given him openings to hit. And remember,
I can't fault that logic.
Conlan had about 15 fights in the WSB against a good standard, and to my knowledge, I think he lost twice.
Yeah, I just thought it was, well, you know what my thoughts on it are. Like, whatever, but it matters. I hate this stuff. Like, obviously,
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's hard to fucking put it out, but like, I'm just a bit bored of all these Olympians, yeah. And look, he got a bad decision against him, but it's all said as though he was just going to fucking moonwalk to gold then after that.
Bantamweight in the last Olympics was the best weight.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is he's definitely not guaranteed to win a gold medal.
But I'm just saying, this is what I mean. And he's blocked me. I can't see what I said, but no doubt, fucking Coleman will have been saying that he's going to be a 57 weight world champion after he knocked him out. They're going to invent weights just for Conlan and all that shit. But I mean, look, I think he's setting himself up for a fall already because, like, he's not just saying he's going to do one or two bits. He's fucking making some big calls here, and
he's saying he's going to be like Ireland's greatest ever boxer and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like I said, the bar's quite low for that. I'm not just. I'm not just doing it because everyone thinks I'm just whining the Irish up all the time. I'm not. But come on, like, what the bar's not. It's not exactly like fucking hell. There's all these fucking.
Well, you got Stevie Collins.
Yeah, but who? I don't. I'll kick you off. But I mean, who's Ireland's best ever boxer? Like,
Jimmy
Barry.
McClellan.
Wait, could be Barry. Yeah, Barry's a Brit, so he's common.
Yeah,
it'd be Stevie Collins, wouldn't it?
they're all the same, aren't they?
No, it's Jimmy McClellan, isn't it?
Yeah, fucking hell. Getting full on here now. But
I agree with you, Ainsley, though. He should have. How good would it have been if he went one better than Lomachenko and just fought for a world title first fight?
Yeah, well,
just like roll with the hype.
Yeah, but like, if the thing is, he's saying he's putting all these guys on their heads in sparring and all this shit. What is the point? And like fighting people worse than you sparring, like, it's just, I don't get it.
I seen someone say, I think this was Facebook, one of the stupid boxing groups on Facebook, which is Casual City anyway. But someone said that he's going to be a world champion in like 12 to 18 months, and I was thinking at 126, he's not got a hope in hell of that.
He's doing 122, isn't he?
Yeah, 122 at the minute. Yeah, who's it? Yeah,
was it?
Yeah, he's at Rig. So right, who's got the belts? That guy will beat Big Twinny Gav. Vargas, he's not shit. So like, that's not an easy out. Rigo beat him, fucking with an arm tie behind his back. But obviously he's not going to fight Rigo because he's with Bob. But I'm just saying. But the thing is, obviously, Bob signed Stevenson as well, didn't he? What weight Stevenson kicked in at? Or what is he kicking in at?
I have no idea. It's a good question, though. I imagine he looked a bit smaller than Conlan, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did bantam.
But so I might sound like a bit of a hypocrite now, but do you not think that Stevenson could be brought along a little bit more slowly than Conlan, seeing as he's a lot younger and a lot more inexperienced?
Yeah, that's exactly the two reasons why you would take your time a bit more. Stevenson, I think he's like 20, isn't he? He's not got the experience of going to like 3 World Championships, 2 Olympic Games, 15 WSB fights. Stevenson will be a lot slower project than Conlan, but Stevenson isn't saying he's going to be fighting for a world title in a couple of years. But in defence of Conlan, he can't go to America, get signed by Top Rank, fight at Madison Square Garden, albeit in the theatre on his debut, and say, you know what, I might be good, I might fight for world titles. He's pretty much got to come on and say, I'm Billy Big Bollocks.
Can I put my UFC spin on it?
No,
you can't.
I don't know. It's a comparison again.
Yeah, but you're gonna compare him to that fucking.
I am though in a bad way though. I'm gonna.
Right, all right.
Discredit it.
Go on then.
Discredit him for a minute.
Do it then.
Right.
Yeah. We'll give you.
Don't forget, for like 3 years, McGregor was talking trash and fighting absolute fucking trash as well. Like, I do mean absolute fucking spasmos. Like, absolute nobodies, just wiping him out and just talking absolute shit. That's probably what Conlan will do for 2 or 3 years.
But the difference is McGregor was about fucking 3 stone bigger than everyone he was fighting. So
yeah, but that's still not good, is it? It's still
not
a bad look.
It's not. But the thing, like, it's fine saying it. It's what I mean. But it's like you've got there's like a balance, I think. Like
he might just wait for Rigo to get like 80 because he's not that far off now, and then just try and take him out.
No Bob fight is ever going to fight Rigondeaux. Tell you that for a fact.
What? But come on. You think Bob's not just going to when Rigondeaux's totally fucked, gone?
Because even if he's totally fucked and can't, if he's at the point where he literally can't move his feet, he's still going to be able to fucking push people around with his jab. He's like
is Conlan not way bigger than him though as well?
Yeah, but fucking everyone's way bigger than him. He's like a super flyweight.
Yeah, I still think Donaire took the wrong tactics in that fight. But
was Conor McGregor talking shit when he got beat by Joe Duffy or not?
Choked out by him. No, that was when he's a bit like Bellew McGregor. He had that stupid skinhead look, like a proper chab, and then all of a sudden he went into this fucking hipster cunt with a beard. That's exactly what Bellew's done now.
What, and looks like a Harold Shipman now. That cracks me up. That.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about that cunt. We're not talking about that cunt.
No,
he shot it from Kovalev on the weekend anyway.
Right.
But he did give it to Dan Raphael, so he's in my good books.
Fucking hell.
Dan Raphael didn't flinch.
No, but I don't know. I do think Donaire took the wrong tactics against Rigondeaux. I still don't think we've ever seen anyone like Chino Rigondeaux, have we? And just full on fucking flurry the guy. Like
because you can't.
Well, you can.
You can.
You can put him in a
No, you can't. You can't.
Right, I'm fucking 15 stone, yeah? If I tried... I'm fucking a lot bigger than that.
It depends what ref you have, though. It depends what ref you have. If you have weeks, you can do it. If you have someone like...
If I were laid all over Rigondeaux, he'd find a way of fucking getting out, pulling my shorts down and slapping me on back of the head. Like, you can't
It was one of those things, though, like, Canelo did it with Mayweather, and we know Canelo's not fucking... I know he's not fighting anyone, but he's not a bum, is he? But what happens is, they end up sitting there and like watching the show themselves. They might as well sit on front row. Like, it's weird. Donaire he was watching, he was like amazed by him, if that makes sense.
Because they're so good, they like put him into a trance, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's just being me, and I'm not saying anything because I'm not exactly a professional boxer, am I? But if I was, I'd want to go out swinging. But it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done, isn't it? And when you taste that cunt's punches, and it puts a doubt in your mind anyway.
In defence of Donaire, though, every time Donaire did try to go forward, he was lumped, wasn't he? And
but he obviously had the power to drop him, didn't he?
Yeah. That was more.
But he was completely square then, though, wasn't he? He was stood up, almost like shoulder to shoulder with him.
Hey, that Jap fella tried putting it on Rigo as well, and you see what happened to him.
Fucking hell, he's not world class, though, was it? I'm talking about someone real world class. Donaire had the chance, and don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Put it this
Right,
way.
anyway,
But
moving
like you
on.
said, Conlan's not going to fight him, so it's a moot point.
Yeah.
Moving
but
on.
like-
Do you want to preview Linares versus $1 Crolla?
Yeah, because there was some fucking bullshit being said, weren't they, on the asylum last night, basically
It's a
saying.
bigger fight than that.
No, did they not basically say on the asylum last night on the law of
100%.
averages that Croller's going to win? I don't ever listen
Fuck's
to it, but I'm pretty
On the
sure.
percentages, I think was the term. I don't know what that actually means.
Yeah, but that is basically the same thing. Well, if it happens, someone's going to win, but that's just it. Listen, Crolla won probably like what 3 rounds at best.
Yeah, but then you've got to remember he was punched really hard, and that's why he didn't perform very well in the following 6 rounds.
But Linares punched him that hard. He broke both his hands before the halfway point. That's what I said. My bet is the triple KO: Breedis, Vlad, and Linares. It's like 45-1. Ainsley's crystal ball, and also just Breedis is 2-1 to KO Hook himself. So just
Fuck, have you seen that picture of Crolla though?
Yeah, but
The
What,
cow
with the-
tweeted out. Like Hearn's just been like,
yeah,
fuck
with
it,
the
I'm not-
dumbbells, what are they
trying to-
50? Are they 50 pound or 50 kg?
Yeah, they're
Yeah, man.
50s.
Hearn
Yeah, but
was like,
are they pound or kg?
better not be pounds.
It doesn't matter.
Fucking
About
they
it's
won't
just
be
the
pounds.
size of his it's the size of his muscle. Hearn was like, must have seen it and gone, I better spin this quickly, get it out first before everyone gets on it before me, and then I just look like I'm. So he must have got the picture off Crolla and been like, I'm going to put this out now in case everyone just fucking jumps at it. Before.
It doesn't matter anyway. It's not a bodybuilding contest that we've seen before. He could come in roughly as far.
No, I'm talking about he's clearly on something.
Well,
this has
been said before, and I
Well,
don't know who said it. The line was that there's apparently people in a certain gym in the fucking Greater Manchester area who are managing to cut weight without fucking running, and they've also put it on a ridiculous amount of
I could
muscle mass than
confirm,
ever before.
I know Sai could confirm and deny a lot of it as well.
Yeah, maybe.
But he doesn't want to put his reputation on the line. But I don't know. I might just say fuck
He's
it.
done it on
Put my
here. He's already
reputation
said
on
that.
Yeah, but the thing is, look, right, there's Linares is going to be as good as he was last time. There's no reason to suggest otherwise. There's absolutely fuck all to suggest that Crolla's going to do anything different because that's all he's ever done for his entire career. I like Crolla. I'm not going to just give him shit, but the facts are the facts. Linares is that is the best performance I've seen by any boxer live. Like he's just so much better than him, and it happens sometimes. It's
so
not
quick,
like
wasn't he? So quick.
it's just it just happens. You can't. Sometimes it's just guys you can't beat.
Crolla literally is shit though. I don't. He's had a few decent performances, but he's shit. He lost twice to Derry, and I thought he lost the second fight.
Dave, what do you think? Because obviously we watched it last time, and me and you were both in agreement. Linares were miles ahead, even though the bookies didn't agree.
Yeah, I think I did like 9 rounds to 3 on the night. But it was competitive, but there was only one winner in that fight. Linares there's very few boxers now who I will go out of my way to watch. And if there wasn't a show in Merthyr that I'm reporting on the weekend, I'll be in Manchester to watch Linares. I've seen him twice in person, and I think he's excellent. Such a technically, excellent fighter, and he happens, he can whack as well. It's a really tricky task for Crolla because he's got to try and apply a bit more pressure, rough Linares up a bit more. We know Linares is vulnerable. I don't think he's chinny, but we all know he can cut up, and Crolla needs those perfect circumstances to take advantage of.
You just got to totally hope that. I've said this on Shet's podcast, and it's a bit of a shithouse comment, but you've just got to literally hope that Linares in the right mindset. Is he motivated enough, kind of thing?
I think Linares will be a bit surprised by the scorecards when he came over here the first time.
Yeah,
we were too close, so I think he might be a bit more ruthless this time around because when he heard Crolla with the right hand on the sort of the top side of Crolla's head. I think if he does that again, I think he might finish the job.
Yeah, but he would have last time if he wouldn't have broken both his hands. Did you see the photo of his hands afterwards?
No, I've not.
They were an absolute mess. It was horrific. To say he even carried on and was still fucking twatting him with that is pretty mental. But I think it could just do him earlier now. I think he could just come out because he started well last time. I think if he does that and he just puts an extra bit of pressure on him. And Crolla, that's the thing. So Linares could just think, well, I can just do what I did last time.
It seems so fucking weird to me. Crolla and Hernan have even wanted this rematch. Why not just go for the Flanagan fight? It's winnable,
Crolla wants his rematch because
and it's a bigger fight.
Because it's someone who's beaten him, isn't it? He wants to avenge the defeat.
Yeah, but loads of cunts have beat him.
I know, but
Well, he avenged the Yusuf Al Hamidi defeat, and he tried to avenge the Derry one.
Yeah, that is true.
yeah.
What we got on that undercard then? Under or overs on how long Brian Rose's nose lasts up for? Over or under 10 seconds?
45 seconds.
Oh, that's bold. Dave?
Yeah, I'm sure. I could be wrong. Someone correct me. I thought I saw something earlier that Rose was basically saying that if he beats Holyfield, it's going to reignite his career so he can start looking for major titles again. Like what?
He also said, on the flip side of that, he said that if he loses to Arnfield, that might be it.
He said that about Macklin, though, and then he didn't retire.
Okay, now. That's funny.
I don't mind that fight, though. I think Arnfield's come on, even though he was a bit fortunate, well, more than a bit fortunate to get the Ryder decision. I think he's come on, a lot in his last, say, 4 or 5 fights. His in prize fight, do look like nothing special.
Rangy, isn't he? He's rangy.
He's almost like a solid version of Brian Rose, isn't he?
Yeah.
Did Arnfield have a fight on one of them VIP TV cards not too long back?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Robbie Davis Jr. was it? No?
No, it was.
No.
It did just fight on one of the Victoria Warehouse ones.
Yeah, I remember
So he got
watching
a point to win at
I
6
can't
rounds.
remember if he was any good or not, but I remember watching it and not being overly impressed by him.
He wasn't. He was very bad that night. But
Fucking hell, what did you have to do that night? Not much.
No, we normally do and just troll Sai.
Fucking hell.
Mate, I'm a sad cunt. I never leave the house unless I have to.
Look, man,
I'm a hermit.
I'm missing Binky having a baby on Made in Chelsea here. This is serious business.
I thought you said my missus is having a baby then. I'm like, what?
I'm just going to the hospital in 10 minutes. I'm just on a taxi now.
Fucking hell.
Macho, what, are you fucking driving or making some racket?
Is it back of Rocco's cab?
Yeah, no, I'm just driving home, just listening. Do you want me to mute?
No, it's fine. I hope you're on hands free, mate.
Yeah, I am.
We're gonna knock this on the head in a minute. If you got anything to say, then
No, nothing.
all right. Then. Cheers for your input, mate. You're welcome back next week.
No worries.
What else was on that card? Oh yeah, that was the thing that I picked up on earlier.
Katie Taylor.
Yeah, fucking
versus
hell.
Hell's Angel or whatever his fucking nickname is.
Yeah, but oh god. So she's fighting 9-7-1. She called Hell's Baby, not Hell's Angel.
Oh, close enough.
The thing, what we're going to hear here, all we're going to hear here is, because this bird apparently fought for a world title in the last fight, but whatevs. How come she keeps saying she's going to fucking fight, I can fight for a world title now, and then fights another bomb. It's just like...
Why don't we get all these Irish frauds on one card and get them all beat at the same time?
Did.
Let's get Paddy Barnes beat. Let's get Conlan beat. Let's get the other Conlan beat, and let's get Taylor beat all on one card, and we'll get McGregor beat as well.
But Hearn literally thinks he's Dana White now. That's what he's trying to. He's going off that model. He thinks he can sell Matchroom for 2.6 billion because he's trying to Katie Taylor's in it. How many times did he reference Ronda Rousey before she got beat? Obviously.
Yeah, but let's fucking get right. This has only started, so cunts have only started going on about Ronda Rousey because every single MMA fighter in the world calls out a boxer after they win. Because we're all
no,
fucking...
I'm not about. I just mean she's just going to fight bums like Rousey did. That's all I'm on about.
Yeah,
it's just marketing schemes. It's the next marketing scheme, whatever it is, whether it's a cunt with a beard or whatever. Whatever's popular at the time, they'll just market off it. Someone got an indicator on or something.
Yeah, that's me.
I've just seen Fearon's just iced Tommy.
What's he said?
He's just got that article up of when Tommy got done for fucking...
Tommy will be best mates with him next week, licking his arse like he does Coogan now.
I don't like Tommy's a maggot.
Yeah, that was the fakest rivalry since Bellew. Hey, that fucking Tommy and Coogan one.
Talking to Coogan, you know that chat we had about he said that all rapists should be killed?
Oh yeah.
Judge
Coogan. I'm not
well,
since then.
I won't go into massive detail, but he actually DM'd me about it. And he asked me to call him. He said to me, call me if you don't understand what I'm saying and we can have a chat about it. I was like,
They
what
take
the fuck
it
am I
so
going to give you
serious,
my
don't
number
they?
for? Yeah,
They
I was
take
like, why
it
am I going to
so
give you my
fucking
number and talk
serious.
about it? It's unbelievable. Anyway,
Fuck it, I'm just going to come out and say it. I didn't really want to say it because probably come like be some repercussions for me. But Bobby Rimmer's son told me that Eddie Hearn cheats on his missus every weekend. So Eddie Hearn,
Oh,
you,
fucking hell.
bitch.
Leave it out, lads.
Oh no!
No,
Don't
'cause
say things like that.
fuck that, right?
Fuck it,
He always comes on saying we're wanking in our mum's bedroom and stuff. Well,
but we are.
I'm well, yeah, true.
Well, I definitely am.
I'm in a
Yeah.
respectable relationship, Eddie Hearn. So fuck you.
So am I, but I still wank in my mum's bedroom.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah,
I've
but
got
we
kids
don't
and
cheat
shit.
on
I
our
wank all the
missus, do
time.
we? We fucking
You
Well, that's
wank
the
in their bedroom, sick fuck.
yeah.
I want to
Right,
make
that's
jokes
us done
about
then.
Terry. Yeah, right. Merry Christmas.
Cheers for that bombshell at the end, then we might edit that out.
Right. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Fuck Eddie Hearn.
Definitely will
Arsenal
edit
Fan
that out.
TV.